Hey guys, Matt here with yet another video I'm going to squeeze in before I have to go back to school on the 6th of January. This is going to be about the horror punk band, the Misfits. A little obsession that I've had in the last year or so. My history with the Misfits is, well, I've always loved punk rock, but it took me a long time to be interested in the Misfits. I can remember moving up here to LA in the 90s and seeing just as many Misfits t-shirts, on kids walking around as I did Ramones. I'm thinking, the Misfits? Okay, I knew who Glenn Danzig was, and I was vaguely aware of the band, but they had pretty much passed me by in the 80s, in the late 70s and in the 80s when they were actually a group. So I picked up, well, I'll be discussing it later on, but Earth AD, and thought it was pretty good, but not a great album. And that pretty much was my extent, my experience with the Misfits in the 90s. Now, when the Coffin Box came out, this has, can't see the name on there, but it says Misfits. Anyways, this has everything that you want except for the Walk Among Us album. And I'm going to be talking about that. But what I did was I burned CDRs of all the singles and the EPs and stuff. And that's what I'm going to be showing you. So I have something to visually represent these releases rather than just talk about the CDs that are in here. All right, but I will get to this in a second. So let's start officially with Cough Cool, which was a 45 that they did in 77, with She, the first version of She as the B-side. That's what it looked like. I even printed out the lyrics. All right. So it's good. It's punk in the attitude rather than the sound. It's not the guitar. I mean, Glenn was on, I think, keyboards. Glenn Danzig at the time, they were a New Jersey band. They're from Lodi. I went to school in Lodi, California, which CCR sang about in the early 80s. But different coasts. Anyways, I like it. It's a cool 45. Very rare if you actually get the vinyl, right? So if you're sitting on that in your collection. Okay, that's 77. So in 78, they go in the studio and they record an album that they wanted to call Static Age. And then I forget how many cuts. It was like and they may have recorded something like 17 or something like that. I don't really remember. The Misfits are a band, guys, before you get upset when I make mistakes, rather than go to Wikipedia and start looking up all this stuff, I'm doing what I always do in these videos, and I'm trying to just challenge myself to see what I can remember. So if I get a stat wrong, just relax. To me, as long as I convey the basic big picture of this story, then I'm happy with it. Anyways, Static Age wasn't released at the time, but they took 4 tracks from those sessions and released the excellent Bullet. I guess it's an EP because it's 4. Yeah. 4 tracks, Bullet. Doesn't even say, but since I did the lyric, oh, you know what? When I did the lyrics, I don't think I even, well, anyways, I didn't print the song titles. This is one of my favorite Misfits releases, the JFK picture. All right, so this came out in 78, right? Yep, 78. Okay, still basically unknown, as a band. Okay, in 79, hope I got these in the right order, is the Night of the Living Dead 45, which is, again, great. Here's the band at the time: Glenn Danzig, Jerry Only. Only was a pseudonym because they didn't get his name right on one of the records. Bobby Steele, Joey Image. Plan 9 Records, of course, was Danzig's label from the Plan 9 from Outer Space movie. This is another great 45, right? In fact, I mean, I want to say now, all of the pre-Walk Among Us 45s and EPs that the Misfits released, that's my favorite Misfits recordings, not the 2 albums. All right? Get to that in a second, though. All right? Also in 79, we had Horror Business. All right? All right. See, I just made these myself. Very DIY, very punk. Wow, so this one actually has the songs Horror Business, Teenagers from Mars, Children in Heat, classics all, right? Classics all. Still the same band, right? Glenn Danzig, Bobby Steele, Jerry Only, Joey Image, all right? This is the classic Misfits in my estimation. So another great 45 or EP, you know, it depends on what you consider. I mean, I don't know. 3 songs, let's just say it's a 45, all right? And, no, this is 1981. This is 3 Hits from Hell, all right? Which is, you guessed it, more great stuff. London Dungeon, Horror Hotel, Ghouls Night Out. London Dungeon, they had actually gone to England because they thought that they were going to tour with the Damned, because Dave Vanian mentioned something casually to Glenn when they were talking, and so the band just packed up and left and thought that they were going to be embraced with open arms. Of course, the Damned were like, "Huh? Well, we barely remember having this conversation with you guys." So they got pissed and went out and I think, you know, created a ruckus at some pub and they got arrested, and so that's what London Dungeon is about. But anyways, 3 Hits from Hell, 1981, more glorious stuff. This is the last one I'm going to show you of the pre-Walk Among Us stuff. This is Halloween. All right. Halloween 2. Is that all that's on here? Could be. Another 45. I like the Halloween songs. They're not classic to me, but I still enjoy them, you know. Tell you what, guys, you know, you can go on Spotify, because this is what I did. The whole Coffin Box is on Spotify, and you can make a playlist of all of the pre-Walk Among Us releases that the Misfits did, put them in sequential order, and it's, you know, that's how I listen to them pretty much. Okay, 1982, Walk Among Us, which is the only album that's not on the Coffin Box. This is a great punk album. Again, as I've already explained to you guys, I like the pre-1982 singles and EPs more than this. But if you're like an album guy and you're looking for one Misfits LP that's going to convert you, it's this one, right? Which I do think is a bit better than Earth AD. All right, so Walk Among Us, classic American punk from 1982, horror punk. Never really consider them really a hardcore band, but I know that some do, you know. All right, and then I'm gonna get to Earth AD, and then we're gonna talk about the Coffin Box. This will be a short video. Ooh, yeah. Okay, Earth AD, again, the first Misfits album I ever heard, and I'm only gonna do the Glenn Danzig era today. 1983. It's a weird CD because they give you the album, which is really short, and then they give you the Die Die My Darling EP right on. I mean, they put some of the songs in the middle of here, which I don't agree with, but the Die Die My Darling song, which didn't come out till 84, I think it was originally recorded in 81, but anyways, it's more essential Misfits. It's not quite, I mean, the sound is different than Walk Among Us. It's not a purely punk album, but it, you know, it's still punk rock. All right, so let's talk about, and then after that, you know, Glenn leaves. Glenn was always a hard guy to get along with, and then, you know, the Misfits are still around. I mean, you know, Doyle kind of took over. They had a big punk rock show here in Southern California this year in 2024, where the original Misfits played. I couldn't find anyone to go with me, but it was a bunch of other punk rock bands too. So it was like a festival over, I can't remember if it was how many days it was, but anyways, the Misfits, the Coffin Box. This is what really made me a fan, all right? Now, this gives you everything. It's a cool little booklet. Comes with the lyrics, comes with an essay, but the sessionography, you know, what are the 45 mixes and whatnot are not necessarily really laid out for you. You have to, this is the static age. Well, later on it came out under a different title, Brutality or something like that, Legacy of Brutality, which had Glenn overdubbing instruments. Some people actually like Legacy of Brutality better than the Static Age recordings themselves from '78. I'm not one of them, but everything is here. You know, if the problem is, see, this is, they do Collection 1, Collection 2. Those are both Misfits kind of compilations, but with some re-recorded songs. Legacy of Brutality, Evil Live, which was a EP, I think, or maybe an album, and then Earth AD, that's disc 2. And then disc 3 is where it becomes difficult because it's just a bunch of sessions, dates unknown. Unfortunately, some of the songs on here are the official 45 releases, and it doesn't say in the liner notes. So I'll tell you guys what I did. I went to YouTube, where you're probably watching this right now, right? And I went to the videos where the guys who, you know, made the video have the actual 45s or the EP, and they're playing it. You can see the needle hit the vinyl and you hear what comes out. All right, that's how you know you're hearing the actual, you know, released 45 or EP version from the 70s or the early 80s. All right, I went to the Coffin Box and I found the version which approximated what I'm hearing, and that's what I imported onto my iTunes. All right, that's what I used to make these CDRs. Okay, so unfortunately, I mean, I didn't take notes. I didn't write, okay, on CD 3, it's track, you know, I didn't do that. So you're gonna have to do it yourself. For the most part, the information here is correct. Only I for sure remember finding a song on that third disc, which was not said in the liner notes to be the 45 mix, but it was. All right. So, anyways, yeah, the Misfits, one of my favorite punk bands, surely one of my favorite American punk bands. Very catchy punk songs with, you know, singable choruses. Not totally known, especially to British fans of punk rock, but, you know, well known to American punk bands, but well worth your time. And if you want to pay the money, because I'm pretty sure it's out of print, the same, you know, as so many really cool things are. But if you don't want to pay the money for this, as I just said, the whole thing is on Spotify, so you can hear it there. And I don't know whether Walk Among Us is on Spotify or not, because it's a different label. But anyways, Matt signing off with another American punk rock video. I want to say to follow my Black Flag video, but I did, you know, pre-punk bands like MC5 and the Stooges. So more to come.